Hello and welcome back to A Shot of Wildlife. I normally start videos with a plan, an ambition, hoping to see something or to show you a specific place. But that's not the case for today's video. Today it's late evening, there's probably about 2 hours left of sunlight, and I've come to my local nature reserve, RSPB Strumphaw, and essentially I'm just going to take an evening walk around. I'm going to film almost everything I can, and I'm going to show you what it's like to actually be here. So come on, let's get going. The first of the 3 hides at Strumphaw is Reception Hide. This overlooks a large freshwater pool and a vast reed bed, and there are always a couple of almost guaranteed sightings, such as these ducks having an evening wash. When taking a closer look, despite the awkward sunlight, it's possible to identify these two with their large bills as northern shoveler, who we may see again later on in this walk. There were also 5 well-grown cygnets having a clean. Cygnets can fly at between 120 and 150 days old, and with this one's display of its feathers, I don't think these are very far from that stage. Closer in, the reed beds were being hawked by lots of dragonflies. These acrobatic aerial predators catch flying insects on the wing and are probably waiting for dinner to emerge from the reeds. Much further out, another, much rarer animal was also trying to catch some dinner, a great white egret. This cousin of the grey heron first attempted to breed in the UK in 2012 and is now successfully doing so at a handful of sites around the country. A pretty good start, them 5 cygnets, lots of ducks, and of course the great white egret well off in the distance. Now, I normally go into the reserve and follow the paths left doing a loop, but as I'm mixing things up, today I'm going to turn right and head straight towards the first hide, which I believe is called reed bed hide, maybe fen hide. I'll correct myself in a minute. As I moved into the reserve, I could hear this noise coming from among the trees. That is the sound of a muntjac barking, and it wasn't the only non-native species in the area. Nearby were a pair of ring-necked pheasants. This one is a male with his red face patch, which is known as a wattle, and here, the more plainly coloured female. There is a shooting release pen fairly close to the reserve, and these birds have probably made their way from there. It might be a smart move for them to stay within the reserve's boundaries. I carried on through the dappled evening sunlight, keeping a close eye on the parts of the pathway sleepers that were in the sunlight, as these can be good spots for common lizards. None today though. They'd probably already got all the sun they needed for one day and hunkered down for the night. It wasn't long until I reached Fen Hide. This has always been a bit of a quiet hide to come to, but today it's absolutely dead silent. Listen. Not a noise or anything moving around. Time on this walk was precious, so with my shadow slowly stretching, I moved on from Fen Hide. What a beautiful place to spend an evening. I then caught a very brief glimpse of a jay before the path came to a crossroads and I had to make a decision. I probably have to decide whether I'm going to go along the riverside there and hope to see some barn owls or other birds over the meadows, or if I go this way and go to the last hide and perhaps see some other waterfowl, maybe even something a bit rarer. Well, I'm already walking, so I'm guessing I've made my choice up. The path here passes between the reserve and the River Yare. I have seen otters and great crested grebes along this stretch before, but during my visit there were some people water skiing and making the most of the last ebbs of summer, so the wildlife had gone into hiding. There are several sections of this route where you can look back towards the reserve's pools, but I didn't see any animals from these this time either. Soon I made it to Tower Hyde. And I think it was the right move to come here. There's quite a lot of birds out in the water. The sun is going down, so I've only got a little while to get some footage of them, but have a look how beautiful it is. Just like at the first hide, there was a small selection of bird life here, including another great white egret. Although they may look idle, often just stood completely still with their necks stretched straight, they're almost always on the hunt. They mainly eat fish and other aquatic creatures, which they ambush with surprising speed and accuracy before swallowing them whole. A more familiar member of the heron family was here too, a grey heron. These are around the same height as a great white egret, about 1 metre tall, and they have a very similar diet and hunting strategy. This one must have spotted some potential prey under the surface. A strike and a miss. But what's that saying? There are plenty more fish in the pool. Ah, success. A small meal for a big bird, and the hunt continues. On the bank almost beneath the hide, a small flock of mallards were resting. The males at the back have lost most of their bright green head markings. This is because they are moulting their feathers and is known as eclipse plumage. During this time, they can become temporarily flightless, so it makes sense for them not to be as colourful so they can hide better from any potential predators. Further out on the water were some more ducks. Yep, northern shovellers. They use their large bills to sweep through the water, filtering out small organisms and plant matter, and are known to sometimes feed together in groups. I've never filmed it, but when they do, it looks like they're stuck in a whirlpool, going round and round. Another pool resident standing among the ducks was a moorhen, but I didn't get much footage of it as I noticed another grey heron flying in from among the reeds. It took a swipe at the already present heron, which took to the air, did a lap, and then landed near to the great white egret. Apparently, it brought its fishing skills with it too, as soon after it landed, the egret made a catch as well. The sun was beginning to set over the pool, and just as I got up to leave, I spotted a large bird of prey swoop in and land on a distant post. A marsh harrier. Through the evening haze, this one looked like a juvenile, and it's not surprising to see it at Strumphaw. Sometimes lots of them come to roost here. The most I've seen is 17, but I'm sure there have been more than that on occasion. And although it probably still looks like it's quite light, the sun has now dipped below the horizon, and if I'm not quick, I'm going to have to walk back in the dark. So if I do see something on the way to the car, I'll show you, but if not, I'll catch you in a minute. I pushed my luck a little bit and walked on, hoping for a glimpse of a barn owl over the meadows, and was rewarded with this dull and distant view of a Chinese water deer. I've only ever been to Strumphaw Fen once and not seen a Chinese water deer. It was when I was filming a fact file about them, and of course, none would be there when I needed them to be. My time was almost up, so I headed back towards the car. So you probably can't actually see anything at the moment. You might be able to see my face, but you probably can't see down the pathway ahead, or only just. But I've got my thermal monocular with me, which means I can actually see what's going on even though it's dark. Take a look at this. Here, the lighter parts are where there is heat, and if you look closely, you'll be able to see a couple of bats acrobatically hunting above the path. I have no idea of what species these are, but it was great to be able to see them. The monocular I use is a HIC Micro Lynx Pro LH19, and I'm looking forward to showing off its features in the colder months. I've been provided it for free to trial, and there is a link below this video if you'd like to know more about it. And I've made it back to the car. Today's wildlife walk probably took me about 2 hours, and I've seen so many species. I made this channel to try to encourage people to get out and see wildlife for themselves, and also to try to help you understand a little bit more about the things you are actually seeing. So I think I might have proved it in this video that in just 2 hours you can go out and see loads of stuff. Now, if you enjoyed this video, check out this one here, where I actually came to Strumphaw a couple of years ago and filmed lots of different species. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.